Hi people, I am Akash Umakant Biradar. Today's date is 5th of Jan 2022 and also my today's video topic is garbage collection. Now, as the suggested word or as the word says, garbage means useless or waste. Collection means collect the waste or useless. Now here garbage collector means the which who collects the garbage. Here the garbage collector collects the garbage or collects the useless or waste, and this process is called as garbage collection. Now in programming language or in software language, what is garbage? The garbage is useless objects or waste objects or unwanted objects. Now, the objects which are used, which are not in use, that's are called useless or garbage objects. Now, in old languages like C++, C, if we create an object by using new keyword, then we want to use by using new keyword we will create the object. After that, if there is no requirement of that object, the use of that is the dependency of that object is over, then by using delete keyword we have to destroy that object. But here, when programmer creates an object by taking so much care, because programmer needs that object, and programmers want to use that object in his coding or in her coding. But after some time, at a certain point, if there is no requirement of that particular object, if there is no need of that particular object, then programmer has to delete it. But because of no use of that object, but programmer neglects it, or by neglecting nature of that programmer, that useless object or unused object is also stored in memory. Here total memory is full of that useless objects or unused objects. Now the application will be filled because of full out of stack memory or full memory. Because of these unused objects or these useless objects are stored in memory, there will be error. The error of memory, yeah, there will be error of memory. To avoid that process, or to by thinking about that process, the garbage collection method is introduced. Now in Java, if programmer want to create an object, the programmer is totally responsible for that, because of need or because of that requirement in coding, the programmer is creating that object by using new keyword. Then all that responsibility of creating object is goes to that programmer. Now at a certain point, after the use or at a certain time, there will be no requirement of that object. Then the as usual programmer neglects that. To avoid that neglecting nature, or to by considering that fact, the internal assistant is provided. It means the internal assistants will take care of that. The internal assistants will destroy that object when the programmer is not used, or when the programmer is has no requirement of that object. And that assistant, that internal assistant, is called as garbage collection, garbage collector. And the process of garbage collector collects the useless object, that process is called as garbage collection. Now, what is the purpose of garbage collection? The main purpose of garbage collection is to destroy the unused object or destroy the objects which requirement is over, that object should be destroyed. Now, if you want to destroy these objects, there will be number of objects, the number of data which should be destroyed, and this object should be destroyed internally by background by JVM. Now, the garbage collection is all time run background in internally. So now the internally executing thread is also called as daemon thread. So that garbage collector is a example of daemon thread which are executing in the background or which are executing in the internal. Now, if for example, if I take student yes is equal to new student class, and if I create an object of student and by giving the reference variable yes, here after some time or after certain time I want there will be no need of that object, then here I want to destroy that object. Now here I have given the reference variable yes to that particular object. Then if an object is pointed by reference variable, or if a reference variable pointed to that particular object, then the object never be destroyed by garbage collector or JVM internally, because someone or something is pointed to that object. Alright, yeah. Another, if I create only an object, I haven't give it any reference variable, then that will be collected to that will be destroyed by garbage collector, because the object is created from only one purpose or one time use. There will be no reference variable, so that will be destroyed by garbage collector. Now, the object which has no reference variable, that should be destroyed by garbage collector. Now, if that reference variable in the object has to be destroyed, then the programmer has to the programmer is responsible to make that object is eligible to garbage collection or garbage collector GC. Then there are 4 ways to make the reference variable to make that object eligible for GC or garbage collection. The first method is nullifying the reference variable. The second method is reassign that reference variable. The third one is a local method variable or object in method variable, we can see that. Or the fourth one is island of isolation. Now we will go one by one. In first one, if I take a student s1 is equal to new student object s1, if I take another object student s2 is equal to new student round brace, that is another object. The reference variable of first object is s1 and the reference variable of second object is s2. Now here, after some time, at a certain point, I do not have requirement of object s1. There will be no need of that object. The programmer is a coder, and the coder will know when the requirement is over of that particular object. So in Java, the object should be eligible for GC, and that the object should be eligible for GC by the programmer. So the programmer will know when the requirement is over of that particular object. So here, if uh, student s1, it means object of s1, if there is no requirement, then I will give s1 is equal to null. It means I will assign null to that reference variable, so the link between s1 and that object will be cut. There will be null, then the object will be destroyed. Here s1 is destroyed, s1 object is destroyed. And again after some time, the object or the s1 the s2, I don't have any need of that s2, then again I will assign the null to that s2. S2 is equal to null, then there will be cut off object and reference variable, and the both objects are destroyed by garbage collection. The both objects are uh, uh, eligible to GC. Now the second one is, that was nullifying the reference variable. The second one is reassigning that. For example, if I take a class, if I create an object student s1 is equal to new student. If I create another object student s2 is equal to new student, here I have two objects s1 and s2, and both objects are not eligible for garbage collection because both have reference variable s1 and s2. After some time or at a certain point, if I don't need that object s1, then I will give the reference variable of s1 to to the another object, or to the, if I want to create any new object in the program, then I will give the reference variable I will to that new object. So the old object or the existing old object will goes to GC directly. Similarly, if I want at a certain point, if there will be no need of object s2, then same by the same I will give the reference variable s2 to the another object which will be I need. Then the old s2 object, it means the old object and with a reference variable s2, the connection in between is cut, and the old object goes to garbage collection. That was reassign the reference variable. The third one is method reference variable. If I want to destroy, or if I want to give reference variable, then I will declare the object in method. For example, if I take a method void a method 1, and in that method if I take an array, int b is equal to new int that size. The array means there will be new object. The accessibility of that object is within the method. When the method is completed, then the object is also destroyed. Otherwise, when the method is executed, then the object in that method goes to that garbage collection. Here we do not assign the method, we do not give the reference variable to another object. Here by default internally, when the execution of method is done, there will be destroy of that object presence in the method, or the object's presence in the method goes to the GC. Now there are some exceptions. For example, if I create an object in method and I give return that object to that method, then that method, there is some object in that method. Whenever I call that method, then the object will be there. In that case, exception is there, because it will not be the another object. If I created, the object will be created, but return object will not be destroyed, will not be goes to the GC. Now fourth one is isolate island of isolation. Now here, for like I said, that if I want to make eligible that reference variable, that object to the goes to the garbage collection, I have to remove that reference variable by assigning to the another object or by giving the null. This is one condition. By uh, putting or without changing the reference variable, I can we can do it, we can destroy it, or we can do it to the uh, garbage collection by internally linked this variables. This is called isolation of island of isolation, sorry. For example, if I take three classes, uh, s1 s2 s3, sorry, three objects s1 s2 s3, and if I take instance variable of in all three objects of that class, if I take a class test and if I take the instance variable test I, then in three three of the objects of that class which will be access that instance variable test I, then I is present in all the three objects. If I assigning t1 dot I is equal to t2, t2 dot I is equal to t3, and t3 dot I is equal to t1, then I am giving here internal reference variable, that is I to the each objects or another objects. It means t1 dot I means t1, the instance variable or instance reference variable of t1 is assigning that object t2, the instance variable of t2 is assigning t3, and instance variable of t3 assigning to the t1. If I remove, in that case, if I remove the t1 and if I remove t1 is equal to null, then there will be no there nothing will be happen in that condition. If I remove t2, there will be nothing happen because of internally connected is there, because reference variable of t1 is to reference variable t1 indicates to object points t2, and reference variable of t2 points to the object of t3, and so on here and there. But when I remove the t3, then all the three objects are going to the garbage collection. That is island of isolation. Here these are the four ways to gives four ways to use the uh, four ways to make eligible that object to go for the reference to go for the garbage. Now here there are some method that request JVM that these reference objects, these eligible objects should be removed. The one is system.gc. GC means garbage collection. The one method is system.gc and the another one is runtime GC. These are two methods which are used to request the JVM to eligible objects, to remove the eligible objects. After that, finalization will be done. In that finalization, all the cleanup will be done. The process is that the garbage collection or the useless objects should be eligible for should be eligible to go to the garbage collection or to destroy it. The one is, there are four methods in that, and the one is nullifying the object, the second one is reassigning the reference variable, and the third one is by method objects or local objects, and the fourth one is island of isolation. After that, there are two methods which are requesting JVM to process the eligible objects, to run the eligible objects, to run GC on the eligible objects. There are two methods. The first one method is system.gc, and the second one method is the second one method is runtime gc. Here gc means garbage collection. System.gc is a method 1 and runtime gc is a method 2. These two methods which are requested to the JVM to process that all the eligible objects on that, and after that finalization it will be done. In finalization, all the data which are which are all the objects, useless objects which are eligible, should be cleaned up. In the finalization process, all the data is cleaned up. This is done. So this is the all information about garbage collection. Thank you.